Kwaba, welcome to this week's edition of Ghana in Focus. Myself, Kwame, Ghanaian writer, broadcaster, journalist, historian, podcaster, and entrepreneur. And in this week's edition of Ghana in Focus, why the NPP's recent delegation flag bearer contest is a waste of time. That is the theme for this week's show. Why the recent NPP flag bearer contest is a waste of time. Now, before we get into the show, if you like what you hear, please share to your friends, family, social media networks, subscribe to Ghana African Focus on YouTube, hit the notification bell, meaning that YouTube will notify you every time we upload a new podcast. Also, subscribe to Ghana African Focus on Spotify. Just look out for Ghana African Focus on Spotify and hit the follow bell, meaning that every time we upload a new podcast on Spotify, Spotify will notify you of that. Okay, and if you want to donate to the show to help us to continue bringing some great content from Ghana and from the African continent, you can donate as little as $3 a month, and I'll leave you the link where you can subscribe on the fullness to the show. It can be a one-off payment, or you can do a monthly subscription. It's entirely up to you. All right, so let's get into the podcast, looking at why the recent flag bearer ship race or for the NPP, for me, was a waste of time. Now, just Saturday just gone by, the NPP opposition party elected their flag bearer who will contest the 2028 general elections in Ghana alongside the NDC candidate and others. So NDC, there's rumors that Mohammed is going to go in the third term, and within the constitution of Ghana, that cannot be so. So we'll wait and see who the NDC picks as their flag bearer to contest the 2028 elections. But NPP had their contest on Saturday, and they've elected a flag bearer who will contest on behalf of the NPP the presidential elections of 2028. Now, I'm making this podcast without knowing who the actual winner is, but the smart money has been on the former vice president and last candidate, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. He, according to bookies, is the clear favorite to win the flag bearership to become the NPP's candidate for 2028 general elections. Now, for me, like I said, it's irrelevant who is the flag bearer of the NPP, because we're not talking about personalities. It's about the party, what the party stands for, and more importantly, the policies that NPP have that they can use to, come back to power in 2028. So many media have been fixated about the personalities, whether it's Kende Ajapong or Brian Champong or Mahmoud Bawumia or another person. They've been fixated on that. Yeah. So although the race is for the flag bearer, it goes more deeper than that. So that flag bearer is going to represent the NPP, the new patriotic party. Yeah. So it's about the party, not necessarily the individuals. Yeah. Or the individual. Now, the reason why I say this is irrelevant is on many, many fronts. So firstly, and I still maintain this, that the NPP has not had a real, full retrospection and examination and analysis of a situation as to why they lost the 2024 general elections. Yeah. So there are many in the NPP who refused to accept that the reason why they lost was because of their bad governance and because they messed up the economy, including the high interest rates, the massive debt GDP ratio, the high CD to dollar ratio, and also more importantly, some of the direct consequences of the mismanagement of the economy that led to the domestic debt exchange program that hit many Ghanaians hard, including the upper middle classes. So those are the reasons why the Ghanaian public voted massively against the NPP in favor of the NDC, which is why even in the Ashanti region, which is the traditional stronghold of the NPP, NDC got a third of the votes. That has never happened before. A third of the votes went to NDC in the Ashanti region. NDC normally get 8 to 10%. So to get a whopping 33% in the Ashanti region means that something seriously went wrong. Yeah, and what went wrong is what the NPP as a whole do not want to factor in, do not want to make a critical analysis, do not want to, draw the conclusion as to why their stronghold, Ashanti region, voted massively for NDC. Yeah. And so, like I said, the main cause was bad governance of the Akufo-Addo-led government, the general state of the economy, including the scandalous domestic debt exchange program, and also, in some quarters, the way how the president carried himself as if he was the king of Ghana. So these are critical issues which, for me, the NPP has not failed to reconcile. Yeah, and has not made a deeper, more introspective look as to why they lost the election, how they lost the election, and what they can do to rescue their fortunes for 2028. They think that they're going to easily walk back to power, and no, it's not going to happen. So at this juncture, I'm making it clear, particularly if you're an NPP supporter, and then many Ghanaians who live in North America, in Europe, and probably Asia are die-hard NPP fans or supporters. But the truth is, NPP are not going to win 2020 election, which is why I said that their flag bearership for me was a waste of time, because it all boils down to the party and not the individual. So you may have an individual like Kennedy Agyapong, who for me should be the flag bearer, because this man is he's a businessman, and he knows how to get things done and knows what needs to be done, and talks truth to power. He talks it like it is. And because many people within the NPP do not like that approach from Kennedy Agyapong, he has made enemies within the NPP, which is why, he most likely will not win the flag bearership. But this is what NPP needs, that radical approach. And if you recall, in terms of the not acknowledging why they lost, if you recall, there was a book by a former NPP minister under the Kufuor administration, a man called Dr. Arthur Kennedy. I think he's a medical doctor by profession. He was a medical doctor in America. And in that book that he wrote, Chasing the Elephant Back into the Bush, in the aftermath of their defeat in 2008, when they lost power to the NDC, who was represented by the late John Evans Atta Mills. In that book, Chasing the Elephant Back to the Bush, Dr. Arthur Kennedy said that NPP took things for granted, and they thought that they're just going to win 2008, yeah, without knowing or appreciating the general malaise of the country at the time and the feeling that people had for the NPP, yeah. So this is even let alone the NPP that Akufo-Addo led for 8 years between January 2017 and January 2025, yeah. And so that book, Arthur Kennedy, tells you of how and why NPP lost in 2008, and those same mistakes were not learned, that accounted for their heavy defeat in 2024. And so, for me, like I said, unless the NPP makes a strong, deeper look at why it lost the election, it has got no chance. Right? They can put, they can put, the most popular person in Ghana right now as the flag bearership of the NPP. That person will not win in the election because at the end of the day, it's policies. And like I said before, in my, you know, review of Ghana 25, the opposition NPP, they've got nothing to offer Ghanaians. Let's not forget, and then the Ghanaians got short memories. But let me remind you, this is the same party, yeah, that gave Ghana record inflation at 54% at its peak 2022. This is the same NDC that gave Ghana record interest rates over 40%. That strangled Ghanaian businesses to the fact that many big companies left Ghana 2022, 2023 because interest rates were too high and the cost of doing business in Ghana was becoming unbearable. Yeah. So I've got a podcast of why many big companies left Ghana 2023. You can go and check it out. It's in the archive. This is the same NPP that at one point had 17 cities to $1. This is the same NPP that had a debt GDP ratio of over 125%. This is the same NPP that, because of its mismanagement of the economy, had to borrow or had to go cap in hand to the IMF, even though the finance minister at the time, Ken Ofriata, said that we are a proud people and we will not go to the IMF. But because it's messed the economy, they have to go to the IMF. And as part of that, not refusing to, manage the finances prudently, had to introduce the domestic debt exchange program, which basically took people's pensions, people's savings, people's investments, the so-called haircut, and destroyed many middle-class, upper-class families. Yeah? And you think that many Ghanaians have forgotten that? I don't think so, beloved. So this alone should be cause enough as to why NPP, regardless of who's their flag bearer, is not going to win the general election come November 2028. Because it's not long ago. And we saw the arrogance of power. When people like Napo, when he was elected, vice president, running mate of Dr. Bamil Bimia in the 24 election, on a platform saying, trying to insult the great Asajafo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the arrogance of power, yeah, the opulence, the Yenti Obia mantra, the way Akufo-Addo was portraying himself, yeah, this same people want you to vote them back in power in 2028, forgetting what they did, particularly in the last 4 years, 2020, 2024, when they literally bankrolled or bankrupted the country and they stole state property. And this is not allegedly, they stole state property, state capture. This is why the oral by NDC, Operation Retrieve or Loot, some MVP people have actually come forward and gave back what they stole. We all remember Cecilia Dapa having $1 million stolen at their property. Yeah. And also, money's there, 48 million Ghana cedis and something like 300,000 euros stashed in their property. And you think that the Ghanaian public have got short memories and don't recognize all this, don't remember all this, and you believe in your subconscious, you believe in your myopic twisted mind that you want to come back in 2028? I don't think so, NPP. And again, even you diehard NPP supporters, what is their policy? So they've got 2.5 years to come up with tangible, revolutionary, meaningful policies that Ghanaians are going to buy to that will make them return in 2028. What policies are going out there? Yeah. So given that they've been in government before for 8 years, yeah, they should have some policies right now up their sleeve, having seen, the last year of the John Dramani Mahama led MDC government. They should have policies in place by now that can match up or even better what the NDC has to offer. But as far as I'm aware, there's not even one credible policy that the NPP has that they can say, yeah, this is what we're going to, give the people of Ghana, as a mantra as to why you should vote for us in 2028. There's not one policy that they've come up with. And for me personally, I don't believe the NPP has it within them to come up with proper revolution policies in areas like healthcare, education, the method of education, system of education in Ghana, despite so-called reforms by Dr. Yao Edichum, right? The so-called reforms, for me, the school system is still dumb in Ghana. There's no critical analysis, no critical thinking. Yeah. What is their policy in agriculture? We all saw the failure of planting food and jobs. What is their policy in terms of affordable housing? They had none over the 8 years that they were lost in power. What is their policy in terms of, Ghana becoming industrialized? Yeah, they had the one district, one dam factory. Policy. What happened to that? How many factories were actually in working capacity, working order, and also producing items when they left office in 2025 January? What factories were they operational? So, their track record is not good. And so I don't know what policies the NPP are going to come up with that is going to make Ghanaians vote for them come November 2028, which is not that long ago, 2.5 years ago, 2.5 years. They need to get the message out by at least, because the election is in November. And also the campaigning will begin around about June 2028. So basically, they've got less than 2.5 years to come up with policies that are life-changing and that are transformational, that will help industrialize Ghana and take Ghana onto the next level. You really believe this party, currently led by Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bamia, can come up with credible policies that can challenge what the NDC is doing right now, particularly in the economy, where, the NDC has stayed by the city. The city has been stable for over a year now, or about a year. And then last year, 2025, the Ghanaian cedi was the world's best performing currency, appreciating against the dollar by over 45%. You think the NPP can do better than that? Ghanaians, the cedi is now very stable. So it was 17 to a dollar when the NPP left office. It's now 10.5 to a dollar. The jet DDP ratio at its peak under the NPP was 120%. Today, by the end of the 2026, it is projected to come below 50%, which is very, very sustainable, very, very sustainable, very, very manageable. The cost of living crisis that we saw in Ghana, that peaked in 2022, with inflation hitting a record high, 54%. Now inflation is single digits in Ghana. And then last time I saw, I think it was December, the figure was about 6%. So even within the economic landscape, I don't see what the NPP are going to offer that can rival what the MDC is doing right now. Yeah. And we see the NDC's policy, the gold policy, whereby they are buying gold. Yeah. And using that gold to pay debt like in terms of the electricity companies, the PPP, which is why there's no doom in Ghana right now, because the MDC has used some of the gold reserves that it has mustered to pay some of the debt that was owed to the companies who were providing Ghana electricity. And where the NPP ignored those debts, yeah, we now see that the gold, the buying gold program has been used to stabilize the city by the NDC. The NPP's oil, gold for oil wasn't really, that great initiative, because petrol prices didn't come down really truly. Because when they left office, I think it was 15 cedis for a litre of petrol. That's now gone down to 10 cedis a litre of petrol. So in terms of even the economy, I don't see anything revolutionary that the NPP can do, right, to compete with what the NDC has done even its first year, let alone what potential could happen by the time of the next election in 2028, whereby inflation is going to be could be still in single digits, whereby, the city will enjoy a period of relative stability. Also, where interest rates will also enjoy a period of relative stability. Interest rates again have fallen from 18% to 15%. So since the NDC came to power last year, interest rates have fallen sharply. Yeah. And so even on the economy, it tells us that the NPP have not really got an answer to the NDC's current great policy of monetary policy and also monetary discipline. So, in closing, yes, the NPP have to elect a flag bearer that will represent the party at the election 2028. But like I said, it is not about the personality. It's about the party and the policies that they're going to sell to the Ghanaians come 2028 as to why Ghanaians should vote for them 2028. And like I said, based on the record of the last MP government, I don't think Ghanaians are stupid enough, daft enough to vote NDC back, to vote NPP back in 2028. And just in two of that, for me, the NPP have no fresh, innovative policies that they can sell to the Ghanaian people that will make him electable in 2028. And also, like I said, the NPP have not made a deeper and critical, analytic, respective look as to why they lost the elections in 2024, particularly on the massive scale that they did. Because right now, the NDC has a 2/3 supermajority in Parliament, yeah, and they can run through any program that they want within Parliament, yeah, because of that massive supermajority that the Ghanaian public gave them as a result of NPP's incompetence and mismanagement of the economy during their 8 years in office. And so for me, like I said, it doesn't matter who the NPP elect as their flag bearer. What matters is the policy and the party, what the party stands for, and what they can bring fresh ideas to the election come 2028. I don't think the NPP has got that in them. And so, for me, like I said, this whole flag bearership is a waste of time, because if NDC continue on to the trajectory that they are, NPP have no chance in hell of winning the elections in 2028. Yes, they will recover some of their seats, particularly that lost in the Asante region and other regions, right? But, that's not going to even be enough for them to get even 130 seats. So even within the parliament, NDC will still have a majority come the election 2028. And so, then what the NPP needs to do is, policies, go back to drawing board, think, make critical analysis, right, as to revolutionary policies, right, in healthcare, in education, how to tackle the teeming youth unemployment, housing policy, yeah, you know, all these other areas of endeavor. NPP need to sit down, take a long, hard look at themselves, right, and come up with strategic, long-term, innovative policies that they can sell to the Ghanaian electorate, rather than believing that, you know, they're going to come back in 2028, which for me is a long shot. Yeah. And so that for me is my take on the waste of time on the NPP's recent flag bearer race, because like I said, it's not about personality, it's about what the party stands for and any policy that the party has that they're going to present to the Ghanaian electorate come 2028. All right, so in next week's show, we're going to talk about gold, but we're going to talk about that next week. You know, gold has hit record prices over $5,000 as we speak per ounce. What Ghana can do to leverage this current, demand for gold. So that's going to be shown next week. So if you like what you hear, please share to your friends, your family, social media networks. Subscribe to Ghana African Fix on YouTube. Subscribe to Ghana African Fix on Spotify. And like I said, please donate to the show. I'll leave you the donate button where you can donate as little as $3 to the show to help us continue to bring some fantastic content from Ghana and from the African continent. And so until next week, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next edition of Ghana in Focus.